Hello everyone, nice to meet you with the Disney 3D Art channel. In today's video it will be the character Simba from the movie The Lion King. Simba is the protagonist of Disney's 1994 animated feature film The Lion King. The son of Mufasa and Sarabi, Simba was destined to rule the Pride Lands as king. When his father was murdered by his treacherous uncle, Scar, Simba was blamed for the murder and exiled from the Pride Lands. He finds refuge in a jungle oasis with Timon and Pumbaa. But the Pride Lands fall to disarray during his absence. With the kingdom in peril, Simba is forced to learn the truth of his troubled past and take his place in the circle of life. Upon entering adulthood, Simba marries his childhood best friend Nala and has two cubs named Kiara and Kion. As a cub, Simba was quite adventurous, inquisitive, and impressionable. He highly admired his father, Mufasa, and wished to someday become a ruler as mighty as he. Spending much of his time either learning the ways of a king or simply envisioning what life would be like with such power and self-esteem. This inflated his ego, making him brash and cocky towards characters such as Zazu and Scar, and additionally led to troublesome situations. As his viewpoint on Mufasa led him to believe being a king meant being fearless and looking for unnecessary danger, just to prove how mighty one could be. This would fall perfectly in line with the schemes of Scar, who plotted to kill Simba to increase his chances of becoming the ruler of the Pride Lands. Nevertheless, Simba was able to learn from his mistakes in the end, as his negative actions were primarily driven out of admiration for his father. As a young adult, Simba's personality takes a shift, becoming more paranoid, a direct result of witnessing Mufasa's death. Because he believed his father's demise was ultimately his fault, Simba felt unworthy of ruling the throne. Hinting at signs of insecurity and low self-esteem, in addition to becoming hesitant to ever face the truth of his past. It was not until he met and obtained guidance from the wise mandrill, Rafiki, as well as encountering his father's spirit that Simba would learn that the past is important and should be looked to as a means to admit and learn from mistakes, but never as a reason or excuse for preventing oneself from looking ahead and moving forward in life. It also was not until Simba learned the truth of his father's death. He was more confident and self-assured. In spite of this, Simba was also willing to partake in more easygoing hobbies, mainly as loafing around with Timon and Pumbaa. As seen during the original film and the midquel, Simba retained some of his childlike nature, being laid back and fun-loving if given the chance. Now as a full-grown adult and king of the Pride Lands, with a loving family, including a daughter and a son, Simba is no longer overly adventurous and outgoing. Instead becoming humble and rather soft-spoken, even in the face of his family and friends. From the trauma of his father's tragic death, Simba also became anxious and overprotective. Especially with his daughter, Kiara, as he feared the dangers that lurked within the Pride Lands, be they outright such as the hyenas were or hidden within the shadows. Such as the true nature of Scar and those who worship him. He also looked back at his childhood with some sense of shame, as evidenced by his conversation with Nala early in The Lion King II. Simba's pride, in which he claimed that Kiara's adventurous and curious spirit worried him, as she mirrored his own as a cub, referring to the perils he endured during childhood. Despite this, he was not as overprotective of his son Kion as he was with Kiara, in spite of his son's initial mischief. This was probably due to Kion not being as similar to how he was as cub. As well his leadership in the Lion Guard. Simba is also a wise and respected ruler, much like how Mufasa before him, as declared by Pumbaa. He had to prejudice against those who retained loyalty to the dethroned Scar, but was willing to accept them eventually, as he followed the philosophy verbally showcased in We Are One. However, despite being king, Simba knows that he has to respect the traditions of other animals, which was why he did not interfere with Makuu and Pua's mashindano and accepted the former's victory. Simba also likes to stick to tradition, which was why he was initially terribly disappointed with Kion for putting other animals in the lion guard instead of other lions like the previous lion guards. However, after witnessing the new lion guard defeat hyenas, Simba accepts his son's choice and expresses pride for him. Like Simba's father, Mufasa, he is willing to jump into combat whenever it comes to rescuing his family and friends, even if it means putting his own life in danger. When he and Nala were being chased by Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed, he noticed Nala was starting to slip on a mountain of bones in the elephant graveyard and immediately ran down to assist her to climb back up for their escape. He swiped Shenzi across the face, leaving her with 3 scratch marks, much to her anger. Another example is when Timon and Pumbaa were being chased by a lioness. Simba quickly springs into action and battles the lioness until coming to the realization that she was Nala. After witnessing his uncle Scar verbally and physically abuse his mother Sarabi, Simba leapt to her defense in anger at his own family being harmed by his wicked uncle. Simba sometimes does not initially listen to the advice he is given from his friends and family, showing he has to find out the hard way for himself over time. As time went on, he got what his friends and family meant when he sees things for himself, shown when he finally understood the advice he was given from Timon and Pumbaa about letting go of the past back when he was a cub after witnessing Zira not willing to let go of it herself, and tries to use the same advice to help her. Despite Simba's many commendable attributes, he can sometimes be arrogant, even towards those who know him well. He is also sometimes credulous, a trait he still possesses from his childhood, to the point of still believing his enemies, evidenced by the fact that when Zira claims that Kovu led him into an ambush. However, in truth, the latter had no knowledge of the ambush as it was not initially part of Zira's plot and was completely innocent. Simba later developed a ferocious temper in his adulthood that he can quickly enter, experiencing frequent mood swings, and this temper frequently gets the better of him as he held a grudge against those who worship Scar or who he considers enemies. As seen when he did not give Kovu a chance to explain that he did not see the ambush coming, therefore, had zero knowledge and participation in it. Simba was so caught up with his grudge against the outsiders that he had forgotten they are also lions just like him in his pride until he was reminded by Kiera that they are one, which helped him see through his mistakes. After realizing the error of his ways, Simba is finally able to put his tragic past and hatred of Scar behind him, remorsefully apologizing to Kovu and accepting him and the other outsiders back into his pride. He even forgave Zira and offers her the chance to return to the Pride Lands peacefully. Despite his intense hatred of her in the past and her previous attempts on his life, which she turns down due to being consumed by hatred and desire to avenge Scar, ultimately getting herself killed in a raging river. This shows that Simba is becoming more rational and wiser in his choices, thanks to his daughter's guidance. First is to draw the body of the baby lion, then draw the belly part for Simba. Next is to draw 4 legs for Simba. Next is to draw the tail of the baby lion, then decorate the face for Simba. Finally, attach 2 ears and beards for Simba. So the character Simba from the movie The Lion King has been completed. If you like this tutorial, please like and subscribe button. At the same time, download the app and go to the website DisneyStore to shopping online, as well as Disney Plus to watch some movies and TV shows for free, used by many peoples of the world. Okay, we'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you and goodbye everyone.